Hello, early learners, and welcome back to the art room. It's me, Mrs. Friedreich. This week, we have been using the book Over in the Meadow. I have 5 different versions at home, and then I checked out a few from the library, and there are so many different kinds of art that is done to illustrate the books. Now, we're not talking about the authors so much today, unless they're author illustrators, but today we are going to be meeting David Carter. And we're going to be singing the song in the same way I sang Ezra Jack Keats' book. So let's sing When Cows Get Up in the Morning, but we'll say When Birds Get Up in the Morning. When birds get up in the morning, they always say good day. When birds get up in the morning, they always say good day. Tweet, 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 this is what they say. Tweet, 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 this is what they say. So back to Over in the Meadow. I chose these books for a few reasons. One, the meadow really reminds me of spring, and it's springtime. It's heading into Mother's Day in May, the first Sunday in May, I believe it is. And the book has mothers and their babies, so that makes sense. Plus, there are insects in the book, and the children in Fresno Unified Pre-K and TK classes are starting an insect study. So I thought it would be great to do all of those things. Now, we know that the person who wrote the song really wrote it as a poem, and her name was Catherine Floyd Dana, but she wrote under the name Olive A. Wadsworth, because I've told you all week long about how she did not write under her own name, because in those days, women were not writers. And so she had to pick a name that wasn't hers, and she wrote the poem, and she was living in the Ozark Mountains, and so a woman wrote the music for it, and now it's an old counting rhyme that is put to music, and lots of different versions are available. So what I have today is this artist, David A. Carter. And he is known for his cut and paste work, much like Matisse. Henri Matisse was an artist that used paper after he stopped being able to stand up. His legs had gotten weak and he was sick and he was in bed, but he could cut things out and his assistants could put it up on the walls. Well, David A. Carter, he didn't ever have to lose the use of his legs. He just likes doing paper cut work, and you can see the paper is into a fan here. Well, he did illustrate the book, How Many Bugs in a Box? And I'm sure a lot of classrooms have that. It's a pop-up book, and he's written a lot of different books and illustrated a lot of different books. He was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and he went to Utah State University, and he likes to garden and tennis and ski and travel. And right now he lives with his wife in Auburn, California, where my good friend and my former principal, Greg Brock Jones, grew up. They have 2 daughters, Molly and Emma, and during the 70s, he worked as a graphic designer, and he wrote ads and illustrated ads for newspapers and magazines, and then he started designing work for children's books. And now he does all kinds of work with his wife, and he has created more than 90 books, and he even made a book that tells us how to make pop-up books. It's called The Elements of Pop-Up. So we're going to take a look at a book that he illustrated today with cut and paste, and then we're going to cut and paste one of the creatures. I am going to do a bee so that I can compare it to the science one we did yesterday, but you can choose any animal. If you want to do the one that's on the cover, the bird with its little birds in the nest built of sticks, you could do that and make the flowers, and I'll add all of that on there. But I'm going to make bees and put their stripes on with cutting and pasting. So let me get my table up. I brought out my big scrap box, and I have a nice piece of paper as my background. I thought blue would be good because it looks like sky color. So let me get my table here, put it on my lap, get my big piece of blue paper, put that here, and we're ready to go. Now, I'm gonna get this wax paper close to me. Have you ever seen this? When I was a girl, my mom used this paper to wrap up our sandwiches. And they wax a thin piece of paper so that anything that's moist stays moist in here when you wrap it up. And it also doesn't make the paper get all wimpy. So I'm going to use this for my wings. You don't have to, you can just draw yours, but I'm going to make this into my wings. And we know they have 2 sets of wings, so I'm folding it a half and folding it again. And I'll set this aside for right now because I'm going to start by reading the book. Here we go, Over in the Meadow, the old counting rhyme. Boys and girls, I went too soon to my table. I forgot I had even hadn't read the book yet. Silly me. And it's Over in the Meadow. And here it is. Oh, on this one they have little bluebells, blue bonnets, and a ladybug in the picture. Over in the Meadow, it's an old counting rhyme illustrated by David A. Carter. Oh, look, here's the character I'm going to be doing. Oh, it's a side view. I've been doing it with the view top down. Over in the meadow. Over in the meadow, in the sand and the sun, lived an old mother turtle and her little turtle one. Dig, said the mother, we dig, said the one. So they dug all day in the sand and the sun. And look how he did this. He cut out the turtle shape out of paper, but then he painted little flowers all over it. And it's the same rhyme it's been for many of the books. One sun. Look, these look like catfish. My brothers used to fish for catfish, and you can tell catfish because they have kind of like whiskers on their faces. This is stylized. It doesn't really look like a science one, but it's kind of nice to see the art. And you can see these things are budding. The flowers are budding in the meadow. Over in the meadow where the stream runs blue lived an old mother fish and her little fishes too. Swim, said the mother, we swim, said the two. So they swam all day where the stream runs blue. You know what I want to do? A boom, boom, diddy bada wadum shoo. Oh, look, this would have been fun to do for our Valentine Hearts and Art picture. These remind me of the owls from our first book, but these have a heart-shaped face, and you put the 2 big eyes and the beak there. This is going to be the tree and 3. Over in the meadow in the white oak tree lived an old mother owl and her little owls 3. Whoo, said the mother, whoo, said the 3. So they hooed all day in the white oak tree. A boom, boom, diddy bada wada shoo. A boom. Oh, look. This is by a barn door. I can tell because oftentimes a barn door is outlined with a white piece and then diagonal pieces of wood across. And this is a rat. I can tell it's not a mouse because the mouse has a little smaller body. They always make the rats have a big old back. Over in the meadow by the old barn door lived an old mother rat and her little ratties 4. Gnaw, said the mother, we gnaw, said the 4. So they gnawed all day by the old barn door. Do you see the shape of these? You can tell what these are. I thought, oh, is it hominy or is it corn? And here's our page. I put this marker here to remind me this was the page where I was going to do the bee art. Let me move it away. I see a hive there with bright flowers. I think I might add flowers to mine if I have time. And here are those waxy wings. They only have 2 sets of wings in this picture. That's because it's a cartoon-like picture. And David A. Carter didn't do it the way that Marissa did. She wanted hers to look like a science book, and he wants his just to look like art. So you can decide, will I put 4 wings? Will I put 2? You can decide, just like he did. And look at these thistles. I wonder if they're going to grow into some kind of artichoke, because that's what they kind of look like to me. Over in the meadow in a snug bee hive lived an old mother bee and her little bees 5. Buzz, said the mother, we buzz, said the 5, so they buzzed all day round the snug beehive. A boom, boom, diddy, bada, wadum, shoo. Hey, do you notice? Where did we already see this? On the cover. Look how they used it. And here it cut off part of the crow, and here you see the whole body. Over in the meadow, in a nest made of sticks, lived an old mother crow and her little crows 6. Caw, said the mother, we caw, said the 6. So they cawed all day in the nest built of sticks. A boom, boom, diddy, bada, wadum, shoo. Oh, this is interesting. Once again, David A. Carter cut out his character, and then he did printing with, looks like a round cork, maybe like we've used before, and made it have some texture on its body by printing with paint. This is where the grass grows even, and they're trying to rhyme it with 7, so they stretch it a little bit, but we can sing it anyway. Over in the meadow where the grass grows so even, lived an old mother frog and her little froggies 7. Jump, said the mother, we jump, said the 7. So they jumped all day where the grass grows even. A boom, boom, diddy, bada, wada, shoo. These are lizards. We've seen the brown lizards. Once again, he cut out the shape and then printed little stars and dots on each one so it would add some texture. And you can see where he is shaded in where the leg meets the body, so you can tell where one starts and the other begins. So he probably used the side of a crayon and rubbed it, or maybe he used some watercolor or watercolor pencils. But let's sing about the old mossy gate and the 8 lizards. Over in the meadow by the old mossy gate lived an old mother lizard and her little lizards 8. Bask, said the mother, we bask, said the 8. So they basked all day by the old mossy gate. A boom, boom, diddy, bada, bada, shoo. Hey, we haven't had a duck in a while. I think on day 1 we saw a duck that was here, and this one's a white duck. It has some magenta tail feathers, a little gray wing, and the yellow-orange beak, or bill. On a duck, it's called a bill. On a bird, it's called a beak. Over in the meadow, in the pond by the pine, swam an old mother duck and her little ducklings 9. Quack, said the mother, we quack, said the 9. So they quacked all day in the pond by the pine. A boom, boom, diddy, bada, wadum, shoo. Here it is, the last character. Over in the meadow in a cozy wee den lived an old mother beaver and her little beavers 10. Build, said the mother, we build, said the 10. So they built all day near the cozy wee den. Again, he cut out the sticks and he printed it with brown paint. So I think he probably rolled it and then cut the trees so they look like birch trees. And the beavers cut down by using their very sharp teeth. Alrighty, I already got my table up on my lap and we're ready to do our cut and paste. So let me get my scissors, and I have my box of scraps over there. And I also brought my whole pack of construction paper, but I like to use my scraps if I can. Oh, I brought that piece of blue paper because it was such a pretty color. But let me get in here, and I think I have some yellow and these black scraps I can use without cutting into my brand new paper. If I can find my black bag, I do, I have it right here. Let's take a look at how David A. Carter made his bees. Because they have a head, thorax, abdomen. But he does do the head, thorax, abdomen. He makes the eyes kind of giant-sized. I'll show you. He made great big giant eyes, so I should probably get out some white too if we want it to be more like his and less like the science one. Okay, I hope I didn't lose my wax paper already, boys and girls. Nope, it's right there. I think I better put it on the table so I don't miss it. Now, the head is kind of oval, just like it was in the Marissa one. So I'm going to cut out, I wonder if I want to make a bunch of them or make a big giant one. Maybe I'll make a big giant one. I can judge by how big this paper is. Oh, I should probably make it the same size so that when we compare it, you can see a little better. Let me get my scissors. It won't be exactly straight, because usually I cut my paper before I come, and I make it on the paper cutter, which makes it super, super straight, because it's a big blade that's like a guillotine, and it comes down and just chops it all like a big swoop instead of going snip, 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 snip. But you notice thumb on top, fingers on the bottom. I'll put my bee back over here, and I will get this paper and put it in the box so it's ready to be used at another time. And I'll start by making my head, then my thorax, and my abdomen. Same warning, boys and girls. If you're going to make it big, make sure you leave room for the antenna off the top of the head. So if I put it sideways, kind of like I did that other one, I think that might be a good idea. And I'm going to bring my glue stick down. And so I'm going to cut around and make my oval. If you feel that you need to trace it first with your pencil, go ahead. You can do that. And they put great big wide eyes on theirs. I think I will too. So I'll put this black right here and get that scrap of white, and I will fold a little piece. First, I'm going to see how big I want those eyes. Okay, so I'll make a little rectangle. Fold it in half so that both eyes are the same size. I like mine to be the same size. You don't have to. You know how I feel about that. And I will make 2 ovals on this. He has his round. I want mine to be oval and go to the side of the head, kind of how Marissa taught us in the science one. So mine will be a little sciencey and a little cartoony. I'll put my lid of my glue stick over here. I'll always know where it is. I cut 2 of these. Are they stuck together? Yes, they are. So I like to put small pieces right onto the glue stick rather than the glue stick and rubbing it on. I'll put it a little bit in so you can still see some of the black, like that. And I'll put the one on the other side. So I'll rub it on the glue stick like this, get it all along the edges so it doesn't pop up, and I'll put that on there. That looks pretty good. Now to make it look cartoony, because on the real bee, the eye is just black and it stays just black, but then we wouldn't be able to see. So I'm putting with my permanent pen a little dot in each of those. That looks pretty good. So I have head, next comes thorax. And the thorax is kind of a rounded kind of triangle. Sort of, it's a mountainy shape maybe. I don't know how to explain it. It's a rounded triangle. Kind of looks like a gumdrop, and I'll put that there. How does that look to you? Together? Pretty good. Then the abdomen on the one that they have, it is long. Oh, that's a good long size. So yeah, I measure it ahead of time to say, well, is this going to be a good size or not? And I think it is. And on this one, they have it kind of chubby, and then it goes into a real point. So where that, because that's where the stinger comes out. I used to be allergic to bees, and one time my daughter and I were swimming in the swimming pool, and I swung my legs over the edge of the pool so that I could swim her around, and a bee stung me on the top of my foot, not because it was just being mean, but I smashed it when I was putting my foot on the edge of the pool, so it stung me and my foot got really big and itchy. But bee stings are not so fun, but I still like the bees because I do love honey. Okay, there's my body parts. Pretty good. I'm going to glue the head and the thorax on so that I don't misplace them. So I'm going to put glue stick on the piece rather than the piece onto the glue stick. And I'll glue it down. And before it dries, I want to slip my thorax under there, so I have to work kind of quickly. Get under there. Ooh, quick enough, quick enough. Now, I'm not going to put the abdomen on yet because I want to put the stripes on there. And I think because it's kind of furry, I want to tear mine. Oh, I should use the scraps. Is that going to be long enough? Maybe. So I'm going to just rip. Keep your fingers close to where you're ripping. And keep your fingers close to where you're ripping. And I'm just doing tiny tears. If I just rip it, it'll go, oh, sorry, it'll go crazy and across the paper too wildly. So I want to make sure that I just rip it slowly and carefully. Now I'm going to put this here and watch how it hangs over the edge. Do you see? It's hanging over the edge a little bit. You can see better if I do this. But notice what I'll do. Just like I've taught you before. Just cut next to the place and cut it off. So it still keeps the shape of the body. Oh, that's going to look good. Okay, let me move this big piece of yellow and see what I have in my yellow scrap box. Because I have some different colors of yellow, and I like this one. This one kind of is goldenrod. Oh, there's a piece of orange hidden in there. I will see how wide I want it. Just hold, see how the scraps, it's so nice to have your scraps. Okay, I'm going to tear this, put this back in the bag so it doesn't fall all over everywhere, and I will see how that's going to look good. So I keep my fingers close, tear. And do you remember why I said I was tearing it? Because they have those little fuzzy parts of their body. Maybe I'll go straight across and get 2 stripes out of it. And if I try and keep it as skinny all the way across. Yours might not turn out as skinny all the way across, and if you like it that way, great. Otherwise, just rip a new piece. Oh, there, that's going to be good. I think I'll put this on the black and set it on there. Go ahead now. Put that on there. Put that stripe on. Went over the edge. Cut it off. How funny the paper's cut on my hand. It's right here cutting with my pieces. Oh, that looks pretty good too. Okay, I'm going to put another stripe, and since I already cut that piece, it will be easy to add it on. Go across, add it on, snip it off. I think I probably only need 1 more stripe. And do any of these look like they're going to fit? Maybe this one from up above. Will it? Yep. And it's a little orangier than the others. And that's fine with me. There we go. Now I can cut that little piece off. Cut this piece off. And now I'm ready to put glue all on the back. So I will go around the edges first, just like I've taught you before. Always get the edges because you don't want anything to pop off. Because once it pops up, then everything gets caught on it, and that's what makes it rip off. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready to do my wings. And I'm just going to do it on the fold. I'm going to cut. And they don't have to be perfect. And I will put these and put some wings out of the thorax and wings out of the thorax. Put it behind this one. And I don't care if it sticks down totally. It might be good. I'm not going to put its legs on with cut and paste. I think I will draw them out of the thorax. 1, 2, 3, 4, antenna, and the one between the head and the wings. There. And I can add more wings, or I can add some flowers. I'm going to put these other 2 wings. I might make them a little smaller. Put them below. Boys and girls, it was great making this with you. Let me see about tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing a crayon resist again. and watercolor crayons and colored pencils. So bring some paper because we'll do some ink and crayons. This is the old-fashioned book. It was the first one I ever saw of the Over in a Meadow. All right, so I might add more things to my art. You can see kind of the wax paper wings and add some flowers and things, but at least we got our bee done. Let me measure it up next to my science bee and see which one you think looks more realistic and what looks like a cartoon. Which do you prefer? You can think about that. Show these two to your family. It was great doing bees with you these last 2 days. See you tomorrow.